too much to do to be stuck in the hospital. I'll be fine. They know what they're doing.
December 1950, the Pentagon.
Gentlemen, may I remind you that we lost our monopoly on nuclear weapons in 1949 when the Soviets exploded their first atomic bomb. The world is now divided in two. On one side, democracy and freedom. On the other, communism. One place falls to communism, then another, and before you know it, the Reds will be in Missouri.
True. The Russians would have no qualms about using the bomb against us. We can never trust them. The only way to stop them is to maintain nuclear superiority at all costs.
Yes, this is a national emergency. We must develop and test as many powerful atomic weapons as we can so that we and our enemy have no doubt about
this. Is a good idea.
We, the Atomic Energy Commission, should recommend that a portion of the Las Vegas bombing and gunnery range be developed as an atomic weapons test site. We must stress that for safety purposes, we'll only conduct tests when the winds blow away from Las Vegas and the populated West Coast.
Even if we select weather conditions with great care, we can't count on local or general weather predictions to be 100% accurate. We can never predict precisely where the wind will blow.
Of course, there is always some risk. But we all have to make sacrifices. Communism is on the march, and the bomb is all that stands between our way of life and theirs.
De facto spokeswoman.
Believe me, I'd rather not be the poster child.
Your mother, Irma Thomas. Wasn't she the first to publicly question what was happening to people?
Oh, my mother spent her life fighting to prove that the government poisoned us and lied about it. And one of the worst tests, we called it Dirty Harry, plastered St. George. That's how one AEC commissioner put it. Fallout clouds traveled east over St. George when they apparently always plaster. We got plastered all right. After Harry, gray ash fell from the sky, coating the laundry hanging outside to dry and covering the fields. You could see it. You could touch it. My mother put my father's heavy-duty, oversized jumper, rubber gloves, and a hat, and she put a towel over her face just to bring in the laundry. She washed and re-washed those sheets and hung them inside the house so we wouldn't sleep on radiation.
When was that?
May 19th, 1953. They stopped cars coming through the town on the main highway to hose them down. They forgot to put up the sign that said, "Welcome to Fallout City." She made noise, accused them of seeing us as expendable. She filled notebooks with names of people who got cancer, and when they died, she put a red mark by their names. Our town was losing entire families. We could have held our high school reunion in the city cemetery. And then my mother started keeping this chart that became a permanent fixture on our living room wall. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, until it was all you could see when you walked in the house. And then she put this sign over the piano. "I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it anymore." Well, all I wanted was to be prom queen and become a dancer. And my mother was embarrassing me with her Fallout paranoia. I just wanted to be like other mothers. There she was, always screaming about the government. My friends in the whole town thought she was a crackpot. I worried she'd get in the way of my winning the Miss May crown. I begged her to stop, but she said, "I'm doing this for you, Michelle. A tiara will do no good if you're
This land for generations. We never thought about the test site 40 miles away. Spring of '53, I was sitting on my horse out in a field. All at once, I saw a great big flash, a big mushroom cloud come up, and then I heard a big boom. Pink cloud of dust and dirt came over the valley. Army personnel pulled up and they told us it was a hot spot and we got to get out of here. But how are we going to get our sheep out? It was too late. Those sheep had burns on their lips and faces from eating grass covered with the fallout. Later on, I go to shear them and the wool comes right off with their skin in my hands. Ewes were aborting calves, lambs started to die, sheep started to die. I never seen sheep die like that before. They was dying in the thousands. So many died, we dumped them in a pile that reached the rooftop. When the AEC comes, they hold up a Geiger counter and put it down on those sheep. The needle clear hits the post.
Upon investigation by a state of Nevada veterinarian and representatives of the AFC,
It's an anatomy lesson. Thyroid in neck, uterus much lower.
No, that's not it. He says it's because I don't know how much time I have left. God, I'm not dying. I'm sick of people looking at me like they expect the worst. I hate that look of pure pity. I go to Mom's and Julie pats me on the head like I'm 5 and
tells me how brave I am.
Brave? I'm just sick. I ran into Kate at the store and she physically stepped away from me like I was contagious.
You know what you want to do? Start keeping a journal. Write down the stupidest things people say to you every day.
Okay, here's today's entry. My neighbor tells me illness is a subconscious choice people make. You must have wanted to get sick because you needed a rest.
In my uterus, I felt like a freak. What kind of woman's body dissolves her own baby? During one late night conversation, my best friend asked me to tell the world about her youngest son, born deaf, retarded, and with all of his internal organs on the outside of his body. She said, "Tell them for us, Beth Ann. Tell them what happens when they test the bombs in the desert. Tell them what the radiation does to our babies."
February 1989, Mary's home. Mary,
What is it? What's wrong?
I'm telling you before I tell John.
What? What's wrong?
They gave me 10 years.
What are you talking about?
I have lupus. The doctors gave me 10 years.
Wait, what's lupus?
It's an autoimmune disease.
What does that mean?
So my immune system sees everything as an intruder, including my own body. So my immune system is attacking my organs. That's why I keep getting sick, why I'm always tired, why my joints ache.
Lots of people are tired and have achy joints. You're just overworked, running the house and taking care of 3 kids. I thought that's why they put you on antidepressants.
I'm not depressed, Mary, and I am not a hypochondriac. I have lupus.
But an immune disease can't kill you.
September 1990, Preston Truman, Malad, Idaho.
That's Preston Truman. Truman, like the president who dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the one who considered all those Japanese civilians expendable. No relation, I'm happy to say.
So where did you grow up, Preston?
I grew up a cowboy in Enterprise, Utah.
When were you first aware of testing?
My earliest memories are of sitting on my father's lap to watch an atomic blast. I used to go with my uncle to help change the batteries on a fallout monitor he kept in his store. That monitor stayed there until the day he died. But I didn't need a monitor to see what fallout did. The clouds came and went. Then the cancer came and people went. I watched my classmates get sick and die of leukemia. I went to a never-ending string of funerals that brought the entire town out to mourn. I was just a kid when I started calling the bomb the demon. The government put up a poster of airplanes on a building in downtown Enterprise, of American planes and Soviet planes. Then they gave us a roll of dimes to call them if we spotted a Russian spy plane. Like the Russians would bother to fly their spy planes over Enterprise. It was just their way of scaring us and keeping the Soviet threat alive.
Unbelievable.
Well, my bullshit directors worked too good. I was only 15 when I started writing letters to politicians to protest the A-bombs they were dropping on that goddamn atomic cesspool they call a test site. I was 16 when I got lymphoma. When we started asking questions and demanding answers, the government went around showing this goddamn film. A is for atom, B is for bomb. They forgot C is for cancer and D is for death. Then they gave us this little booklet. Pure bull.
Atomic Tests in Nevada, published by the United States Atomic Energy Commission, March 1955. Look at the caricatures they put in here. Like Utahns are all just a bunch of bow-legged cowboys. This is priceless. You people who live near the Nevada test site
Are in a very real sense active participants in the nation's atomic test program. You have been close observers of tests which have contributed greatly to building the defenses of our country and of the free world. Some of you have been inconvenienced by our test operations. Nevertheless, you have accepted them without fuss and without alarm. Your cooperation has helped achieve an unusual record of safety. To our knowledge, no one outside the test site has been hurt. Many persons in Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and nearby California have Geiger counters these days. we can expect many reports that Geiger counters were going crazy today. Reports like this may worry people unnecessarily. Don't let them bother.
Being good like little sheep and go along with it? It's been years of one nasty fight after another. We finally got him to stop open-air testing in '62, but only after they'd already dropped 100 of the demons out there. Then they just moved their tests underground for the next 30 years. They've already exploded more than 800 A-bombs underground. They even let the Brits explode some of their bombs out there. You look at pictures of the place and it looks like the backside of the moon. There are so many craters. It's a dead zone. A regular nuclear Auschwitz. Plenty of those underground tests leaked. Some of them blew mushroom clouds so high they looked just like the above-ground suckers. You know who threw a major fit over those tests? Howard Hughes. Richest man in the world. He tried to stop them, but his billions were useless. Ever read his biography, Citizen Hughes?
Can't say I have.
Here, take it. Everyone thought he was a nutcase, but I'll tell you something. Howard Hughes knew what was what. Look at his memo to his chief of staff, Bob Mayhew, from back in '68.
This is the last straw. They're going to shoot off the largest nuclear explosions ever detonated in the U.S., 100 times more powerful than the bomb dropped in Hiroshima. If they do not cancel this explosion, I'm going direct to the president and demand that the whole testing program be moved. I've felt my penthouse vibrate from their underground explosions. I've seen my chandelier swing like a pendulum. I did not come to Las Vegas to be molested by some stupid assholes making like earthquakes. The whole operation just makes me want to vomit. This miserable blemish on God's creation, the earth, is such a tragedy. It means only one thing: shame. Now, how do we go about stopping this shameful program? We must find a way to close them down. Burn up all the favors you have coming. Spare no expense. Tell the AEC I'll gladly pay for a postponement. I'll even pay the cost of moving the test to another site like Alaska out of my own pocket.
Mr. Hughes, any delay of the scheduled test will have an adverse effect on national defense.
Where does the AEC come off waving the American flag in my face? I, who have done more for the defense than the Nevada test site ever dreamed of. If you want to know the plain, blunt truth, it is that these explosions are not needed for anything. All of this destruction and damage was totally without purpose. You take it from me that these tests have no valid military purpose. This is fact based on actual Defense Department technical information legally in my hands. I can prove it. You know what we want to accomplish, Bob, and you know our resources are unlimited. I am sure you should personally go to the White House and sell the president on a permanent policy. We can buy nuclear peace.
I was always nuclear obsessed. I grew up in Brooklyn. We all grew up scared of the bomb. In 1983, I dropped out of life as I had known it. I read an AEC document describing the people living downwind as a low-use segment of the population, and painting them as all bumbling cowboys. That's when I realized I had to document their stories. I gave up a successful career in New York, sold my things, loaded my car with camera equipment and a duffel bag of clothes, and drove cross country to St. George. It's like I found myself gripped in the jaws of a tiger. I can't say what made me do it, except that suddenly I found myself doing this book and moving west. I've spent the last 7 years networking with radiation survivors in 6 states and finding people willing to be photographed and tell their stories. The government turned people into guinea pigs, test site workers, soldiers stationed in trenches at the test site, and all the people living downwind. First they got leukemia, then the other cancers started showing up. Brain, bone, lung, thyroid.
Thyroid? I had thyroid cancer.
When?
4 years ago. I didn't even know where the thyroid was until they cut mine out. That's why I have a scar.
Where'd you grow up?
Salt Lake City.
Did you drink milk?
Of course. The milkman from the local dairy delivered it to our doorstep every day. Sometimes when we visited my grandfather, he'd milk a cow and squirt it right into our mouths.
Oh, you got thyroid cancer from testing. It's common among people exposed to radiation as children. Children are the most vulnerable.
No, I grew up in Salt Lake, not southern Utah.
You people are so naive. You think that some magic shield stopped fallout at county or state lines? It went everywhere. Look at Richard Miller's map of where the fallout went. This entire country was downwind.
All these other people, I bet a lot of them are already dead.
Look at this. On the page about you, a list of diseases that could be linked to fallout. Severe birth defects, miscarriages.
Immune disease? Jane was diagnosed. Maggie has it too. Oh my God, lupus.
Do you think we could all be downwinders?
Lots of people get cancer and immune system diseases. How do we ever prove which ones are from fallout?
Well, let the government prove that that's not how we got sick. Where's their proof? Why didn't they prove it was absolutely safe before they dropped those bombs in our
It
backyard?
doesn't work that way.
Think of everybody from our old neighborhood. Remember